with the situation that we are in. So, but you know, we just gonna do the best we can to just have some fun. That's what it's about. So make sure y'all participate now. Make sure you follow Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff. Make sure you follow for because the instructions and different things gonna be coming up. Like I said, in the next few, like she said, in the next few days about what to expect for that day. So it's gonna be fun. So that's all. Try to join in or participate as much as possible. You know, get some laughs out of it, if anything else. All right. So is am I forgetting anything? Okay. All right. So yeah, but don't forget. Oh, one thing I want to do, I do want to say, we're gonna be calling on you too. We're gonna be doing some more. Like it's gonna be a different type of. You know how we did the little interview thing we did with the video, the promo video thing we did with every interview families. But we want to do individuals this time. We're gonna change the setting and it's gonna be some different, you know, a little different feel. And I'll kind of let you fill you in on that later. So we're gonna do those once again. All right. So be looking for that coming up too. So it's gonna be like an individual type thing with not a lot of people around. All right. So we'll talk to you about that a little bit later. But it's be single interviews is what it's gonna be. Now if you choose to do it with somebody, that's totally up to you. But if you don't, then that's fine also. So, but just we'll talk about that later. All right. Any questions? Did everybody get all of that? Everybody, y'all good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so appreciate y'all. Now, those of you that's gonna be somewhere in a noisy place, go ahead and mute your phone. Unless you got a comment or something you want to make, then that'd be different. But we're in Joshua chapter 3. Uh, And like she just said, the trivia questions are gonna come from the book of Joshua and what we've been studying. So you might wanna might want to make sure you got your information. Cause I'm looking forward to the trivia night. That's gonna be fun. See who's been following. Ain't that right, First Lady? It's gonna be real fun to see how many answers you can get. I'm already betting that probably my men probably gonna win. I'm pretty sure that the guys are gonna be the ones that pull it off and have all the answers to everything. I'm already kind of like leaning that way anyway, so I just believe that. So let's see.
Yeah, it's
What
just
happened?
we knew that. It's just a matter about how much.
What?
Yeah, yeah, just a matter of how much. Yeah, I think we're gonna have. I think you guys gonna have it locked down. All right, but anyway, we're in Joshua chapter 3. We're still talking about claiming your Canaan, claiming your Canaan. That's what we're talking about. So listen, I hope that you guys enjoyed the last session we had in Joshua chapter 3 with Jarman. Pastor Leatherwood came over. Man, we had a great study. It was awesome. Hope to do that again sometime soon in the near future. He want me to come to his place and we do it from there. But we're gonna do it again here pretty soon. But uh, listen, one thing that we can all, you know, just kind of getting into this, we all have Jordans in our life that we have to face from time to time. It's no matter where you are in life, you got a Jordan, you got something, obstacle or something that you're gonna have to cross over. And when we look at those obstacles that stand between us and our spiritual victory in our own Canaan, those things that stand between us and where we want to go, sometimes we feel like that we will never be able to enter that victory, that peace, that rest, or enjoy the abundant life that Jesus promised us through his word. You know, but it's true that I don't really know what kind of obstacles you face. All of us face separate challenges in life. All of us face different things that we have to go through in life. But I do know the God who specializes in the overcoming of the overwhelming things that we face in life. And I know that God will lead us to victory. I already know that. I believe that with everything in me. So tonight, I just want to take just for a few seconds. I'm probably going to give it 1 or 2 points in here. But I want us to look into this chapter and this account of Israel as they got past their Jordan. Now, as we do this, I want to offer you some hope as well, because if God did it for them, guess what? He can do the same thing for you and me. So you see, the things that worked for them over 3,000 years ago, guess what? That stuff is still work for us today if we just apply it. That's the problem. These examples, the Bible tells us the thing that was written before time was written for what? It was written for our learning. If we would just pay attention and learn from them and apply the stuff that they did, it'll work for us just like it worked for them back then. So there are 3 steps, and I know I'm not gonna get them all. So make sure you're back next week. Well, next week we're gonna be doing trivia. So there are 3 steps that we gotta take to guarantee that we're gonna be able to get past the obstacles that block us or block our way from us going into our spiritual Canaan. All right. So the first one is when you look at the first 13 verses, and I'm gonna get somebody to read that, then I'm gonna give you the point. So let's look at the first 13 verses. Somebody unmute your phone that can read the first 13 verses for me real quick, please. That's Joshua chapter 3 and verses 1 through 13. And if you don't want to read them all, just stop where you want to stop and let somebody else pick up and read from there. All right. So Joshua chapter 3, verse 1 through 13. Who got it?
I'll start off.
Okay.
All right. Early the next morning, Joshua and all the Israelites left Achaia Grove and arrived at the banks of the Jordan River, where they camped before crossing. 3 days later, the Israelite officers went through the camp, giving these instructions to the people. When you see the Levitical priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, move out from your positions and follow them. Since you have never traveled this way before, they will guide you. Stay about half a mile behind them, keeping a clear distance between you and the ark. Make sure you don't come any closer. Then Joshua told the people, purify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do great wonders among you. In the morning, Joshua said to the priests, lift up the Ark of the Covenant and lead the people across the river. And so they started out and went ahead of the people. The Lord told Joshua, today I will begin to make a great leader in the eyes of all the Israelites. They will know that I am with you, just as I was with Moses. Give this command to the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant. When you reach the banks of the Jordan River, take a few steps into the river and stop there. So Joshua told the Israelites, come and listen to what the Lord your God says. Today you will know that the living God is among you. He will surely drive out the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, all those ites, Jebusites ahead of you. Look, the Ark of the Covenant, which belongs to the Lord of the whole earth, will lead you across the Jordan River. Now choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 from each tribe. The priests will carry the Ark of the Lord of all the earth, and as soon as their feet touch the water, the flow of water will be cut off upstream, and the river will stand up like a wall.
Wow. Okay, so now in the first 13 verses, this is the first note that I want you to take. We need to examine a message. We need to examine a message, okay? We need to examine the message. Look at the first 4. Well, let's look at verse 3 and 4. Go back to 3 and 4, T. So let's read verse 3 and verse 4 again. I want to read verse 3 and 4 one more time, okay?
All right, so 3 says, giving these instructions to the people, when you see the Levitical priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, move out from your positions and follow them. Since you have never traveled this way before, they will guide you. Stay about half a mile behind them, keeping a clear distance between you and the ark. Make sure you don't come any closer.
Okay, so when you look at this first one, it involved, the first thing you need to know, this involved a challenge, okay?
Yeah.
It involved a challenge. Now, when it came time for the people to move forward, to cross over the Jordan, God has a message that they needed to hear. So when it came time for them to get ready to move, there was a message that God wanted them to hear. So in the words they heard, they were challenged to do 3 very important things. You need to make note of these. 3 very important things that they were challenged to do. These things were designed to help them follow the Lord better. Okay, make sure that you understand that. These things were designed to help them follow the Lord better. These are the same things that you and I need to hear today that's going to help us to follow God better as well. Okay, and here's the problem with a lot of us is that we we're not good followers. It's like we get off path, we get off track. We're not good followers. Now, first thing he tells them to do, make sure you get this. The first thing, if we're going to be better followers of God, the number one thing that you got to do is you got to watch God. You got to watch him. You got to pay attention to him. You got to watch God. Look what he says. Notice that the Ark of the Covenant is mentioned 7 times in the 3rd chapter. The Ark of the Covenant is mentioned 7 times in the 3rd chapter. The Ark, you're going to remember, it was that special piece of tabernacle. And y'all remember me talking about this, a special piece of furniture that symbolized the presence of God. It symbolized the power of God. And as long as the presence of God and the power of God was with the people of God, they didn't have to worry about nothing. But the only problem is God can still be in your camp and you can still miss him because you ain't paying attention to him. We miss him because we're not paying attention. We're not watching God like we should. So when the ark was in the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle, watch this, the glory of God rested upon it. And it was the dwelling place of God. So God was there, right? So there is a valuable spiritual lesson that I want you to learn from this, that I want you to get for this. Me and you both would do well when we face times of crisis or when we need direction in life to learn to be sensitive to the movements of God in and around our lives. How many of us really pay attention to when something happens in our life and not realizing that it's God who's moving? And we miss his moves. So it is a fact that God loves you and that he will show you what he's doing. Okay, let me show you. Somebody real quick, get John chapter 5. Somebody turn over real fast. Come on, fast. I need fast scroll to fast fingers. Fast fingers got to scroll. John chapter 5 and verse number 19. 19 and 20.
All right. It says, Jesus gave them this answer. Very truly I tell you, the Son can do nothing by himself. He can do only what he sees his Father doing, because whatever the Father does, the Son also does. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all he does. Yes, and he will show him even greater works than these, so that you will be amazed.
So, in other words, what is he saying here? He loves you enough to show you what he's doing.
Yep.
You see that? He loves you enough to show you what he's doing. He's going to teach you how to live every day of your life. But we follow our own direction instead of following God's direction.
Yeah.
That's where we get in trouble at. That's where we mess up at, because we are following our own way instead of following God's way. Okay, so number one, the first thing is what we got to do. We got to do number one, we got to what? Watch God. Okay, the second thing is follow God. When you see him moving, it's in your best interest to move too. Hello? So you can't, listen, you won't see him moving if you ain't paying attention to him. And that's one of the biggest things that the devil knows. If he can get us distracted and get us off track, make us lose focus of God, then guess what? We're going to miss where God's trying to take us. We're going to miss the blessings that God has in store for us because the enemy has distracted you with some foolishness, some crazy stuff, and God is trying to take you into your promised land and your Canaan, and you're missing it because your eyes are in the wrong place. Okay, so the second thing, follow God. When they saw the Ark of the Covenant move, they were instructed to do what? Follow. Leave your place, he said, and go after the Ark of the, he says, go after the presence. You follow God because that's where the power is that's going to get you where you need to be. Can you imagine them trying to cross the Jordan without the presence of God? Now, as I was studying this and I looked at Joshua chapter 3, you know, under normal circumstances, the Jordan River is just it's only wide as a football field. But when the children of Israel got to the Jordan, it was right after the stormy season. So guess what? It was almost 15 miles wider than what it normally is by the time they got to it. It had swelled that big. And I believe that God allowed them to be there at that particular time so that they could not cross on their own, because normally people would cross the Jordan with no problem. But in this instance, God would not allow them to get there at that point to be able to cross so that they can brag about how they did it on their own. So the only way they could get across this Jordan, that they had to follow God. And they had to let God lead them into this, and God's power had to be used in order for them to cross over. Okay, so they were to pursue after God. So again, what's the spiritual lesson for us in this? Is that is it enough to know what God is doing in your life? There comes a time when you got to leave your place and go after him. And that's our problem. We sit comfortable, and a lot of times we get in our place and we comfortable and we settling. And God is trying to tell you, look here, no, we got to go. That's somewhere we need to be. We gotta move. And as a church, I truly believe that that's what God is doing for us. He's moving us into a place to where he wants us to be. So this may require us to leave our comfort zone, people. Israel was about to follow the ark through a river that was well over a mile wide. That couldn't have been easy, but it was still necessary, and it was right. God calls us to do a lot of things that's not easy. That's very difficult, but it's necessary and it's right. See, folks, following God may not be the easiest thing that you're going to ever do in your life. It ain't going to be the easiest thing. It will not be the easiest thing that you'll ever do in your life. But it's going to be the best thing that you'll ever do. Because I truly believe that God is not going to lead us to something that he's not capable of getting us through. Don't believe that. And I'll throw that plug in, even with this coronavirus thing. God ain't going to leave us. I just don't believe it. I just do not believe that God going to leave us out here and just let us suffer like that. I don't believe that. So if you ever expect to get past your obstacles and enter into your Canaan, you got to learn how to follow God. And sometimes God takes us the difficult way. All right. The third thing is, in this thing that I want you to see in this message. Number 3, honor God. Honor him. Notice that the Israelites were supposed to stay 3,000 feet behind the ark. This was so that they could easily see him moving. That was the purpose behind it. God would not allow himself to get too far out of their sight, and he wasn't going to allow them to fall too far behind. He wanted them to be just right so that they could see him moving. And this was so that they could easily see what was happening in front of them. See, because a lot of times we want to get too close and try to see ahead of God. And what happens with us is we get too close, we want to see ahead of God, then we see the trouble that's in front. Now we get scared because we don't want to follow no more because we've seen the trouble up there. Hello? And fear causes us more than anything to not want to follow. Especially when we see something that, oh Lord, no, I don't want no part of that. Can't deal with that. So we back off. And God is trying to help us to understand, look, stay far enough behind me and let me handle the stuff that's up here in front of you. You pay attention to me. Take your eyes off the trouble. Put your eyes on God. Let God handle the trouble. You can't deal with it. What you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it by worrying about it? Come on. Wave at me. Put your hands up. Do something. Point at me. What are you going to do by worrying about it? Nothing. You can't handle it. What Jordan can you part? Not one. So why you worried about doing it? Look, you saying this, hey, I can't party. I can't party. So that's your business, God. I'm just following you, man. And that's the mindset that I've taken. Look, I don't know where I'm going. I have no clue. I have no idea where I'm going, but I know if I'm following God, it's right. So that's the only thing that we can do is we gotta follow. We gotta follow God. Okay. So here's the lesson. I mean, honor God. Here's the lesson. We must never be guilty. Man, please get this. Don't ever be guilty of treating God like he's one of our buddies, like he one of our friends. That's where we mess up at. We ace boom, we buddies, we friends. No. There must always be a holy reverence and a healthy respect and fear for who God is. Because God could just snap his fingers, bam, like that, and you gone. You out of here. So don't ever get too comfortable and think that, y'all on the same level. No, that's what happened with Satan. That's what happened. That's why we're in the shape we in right now, y'all. Is because Eve was tricked by the devil to think that if she ate of that forbidden fruit, that she was gonna be just like God. No, ain't but one God. There ain't gonna ever be but one. And he proved that. So anytime you get to a place where you think you're gonna be like him or compare yourself, you can't do that. You'll never be on the same level. So we gotta have a holy respect. Regardless of what we go through with holy, righteous God, and we're still nothing but sinners saved by his marvelous grace, we still got to respect him. Still got to respect him. Okay? So simply put, in the two verses, 3 and 4, those first two verses, simply put, these three, make sure you get these three things are most easily accomplished by learning to walk in the Spirit. That is learning to give control of your life to the Spirit of God and follow God as he leads through his word and through prayer. See, it may not always be easy, but I can promise you that if you will follow, God will certainly lead you. If you'll follow, he'll lead you. Okay? Real quick, let's look at verse number 5. I had it here. Verse 5, watch this. He says, Joshua told the people, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. All right, so verse 5, it involved a command. Next, the people were told to do what? Cleanse yourself, sanctify yourself. Now, this referred to being sure that they were clean and holy as possible. It was their job to put away anything that was displeasing to the Lord. They were to examine themselves and get ready for the Lord to do something great for them. Listen, now is the time. Now is the time for us to do some holy cleansing, some detoxing. There's some stuff it's some stuff in our spirits that we need to get rid of. Hello? There's some stuff within us that we need to start right now purging. Some stuff that we got to start purging ourselves of. It's time for us to start cleansing ourselves and getting ourselves ready for what God is about to do in our life. Okay? We got to start getting ready for that. We need to purge. I truly believe that there's a spiritual purging that needs to take place in our life today. It needs to take place. And so we got to be ready. We got to be prepared. We got to get ready for it. Okay? So we got to be in a place to where we're prepared and ready for what God is getting ready to do in our life. So they were to put away anything that was displeasing to God. Listen, this is a season of our life that I feel like we're in a position to where we have nobody else to depend on but God. If we're walking, listen, make sure y'all listen to me real good because I want to say this carefully. We cannot live in fear and trust God at the same time. Can't do it. The children of Israel was in a situation they had to totally depend on God. Now I know trying to get and cross over listen, if you're trying to cross the Jordan River by yourself, that's over a mile long now or a mile wide, that's a scary situation. I don't know how many of y'all ever took a cruise. Y'all can raise your hand. Those took been on a cruise and you're in a ship. Have you ever been in one in a storm? We were the last one we went on. I think with Nikki, Faye.
Oh goodness.
And a few of us was in there together.
Yeah.
That thing was horrible. Let me tell you something. You were totally at the mercy of God.
Yes.
Because that ship was bigger and it was a huge one. And that water was tossing. That thing was tossing us around and shoving stuff off for 2 days straight. So I can tell you right now that if something were to happen there, all that water, we couldn't drink it. And my mama say, there's no way you could have drunk all that water. We'd have been dead. So listen to me. But no matter how scared we got, there was nothing we could do about the situation. So guess what we had to do? Pray and trust that God get us back safely to land. And guess where we are today? Woo! We right here. And some people have just vowed because of that, they'll never go back on their cruise. But hey, you're gonna always run into trouble. You're gonna always run into things that you can't handle. There are always gonna be some things that are too big for you to deal with. So listen, we cannot operate in fear. We got to trust God. So if you and I ever expect to get past the Jordans and the things that arise in our lives personally, we're going to have to learn that one of the first things we must do is examine our lives. Look at us. Listen, man, I can, it was so funny at the time looking back because there were people who chucking them down, man, like, hey, this gonna be my last trip, you know? So they were going on. And then on the other hand, that should have been some times for us to sit back and say, hey, God, I'm repenting. I'm sorry. Whatever I did wrong, I need to fix it. I want to get it out of my life today. So if I leave tonight, I know heaven will be my home. But at the same sense, we prepare for heaven by living a life of repentance, right? We are preparing ourselves for cleansing, for righteousness, for all that to go to heaven, right? Same thing when God is trying to give you blessings. You gotta prepare you for that. You gotta get yourself ready for this. And so if there's anything in you that God is not pleased with, purge it. Man, you're gonna miss out. You're gonna miss out on the Canaan if we don't. So listen, whatever in our life, whatever we're doing that's not pleasing to God, then guess what we got to do? We got to purge ourselves. We got to cleanse ourselves and get ready for what God is trying to do in our life. And may God help us to realize that many of the things that happen in our lives, watch this, that prevents us from walking in Christian victory are the results of our sin. And then the Lord has to turn around and do what? When you sin, guess what happens? Okay, I'm going to put it this way, because I know everybody understand this, especially those of you that got kids. If your child is just deliberately disobey you and just do something that is just beyond your toleration, what are you going to do? You going to go out and buy them a new bike? Huh? You just you gonna still give them their allowance and tell them, look here, man, you just do what you got to do. I'm gonna you pat you on the back, say you got it. You go on and handle. You gonna handle that. You did that, right? No, that ain't what you're gonna do. That's not what you're gonna do at all. You're gonna try to pull the skin off that rascal. So, what do you think God does when we don't do what we're supposed to do? You think we just get away scot-free? Or do you think that just because you said, Lord, I'm sorry. It's a God, I'm so sorry I did that. I ain't gonna never do it again. God says, yeah, I hear you. I accept your apology. But you're gonna get these stripes. They yours. You're gonna get them. That's the same thing he told David. David slept with Bathsheba. He prayed, he asked God, but God told him. God said the sword will never leave your house. Your neighbors, your friends are going to sleep with your wives. This baby that you got by this woman that wasn't your wife, he said that baby going to die. Don't play with him. That's why I'm telling you, if you go back, God is, look, you ain't bosom buddies with God. And God is trying to tell you, listen, when you sin, when you mess up, you're going to pay. Now, he's going to forgive you, yeah, but you got to suffer consequences for the things you do. You don't get off scot-free. Nobody does. So make sure that okay, real quick, y'all think I'm playing. Somebody read Hebrews 12. Let's go here. I got to stop here in about 8 minutes. Hebrews chapter 12. Watch this. Come on, y'all, hurry up. Hebrews. Y'all got it? Who got it? Hebrews 12, verse 6. Who want to read it? I got somebody. Hello. I heard somebody come. Who was it?
All right. It says, because the Lord disciplines. You want to start right there at 6?
Yeah, let's do 6. Read down through verse 11 because all that's good. All that's good. Make sure you listen to what he said now.
All right. Because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son.
Hold on. What did he say? Hold on, Mario. What did he say? The Lord do what to those he loves?
Chastens.
Read it.
The ones he loves, everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what?
Go ahead.
For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who discipline us, and we respect them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? They disciplined us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it.
Man, I want to shout right there. See, some of us hard-headed, we just take beatings all the time. Because we don't, I don't get it. I'm like, are we not tired? Are we not tired of just having to deal with that? And not just ask God to, Lord, please help me. You know? And so we got to get to a point to where we are not continuing in a place where God has to continue to keep punishing us. Or we have to continue to keep being chastised for something that we know better from doing. Okay? Let's be mindful of that. All right, I'm gonna get one more. I'm gonna get a couple more here. Let's go back to Joshua chapter 3. I'm not gonna read it because we just read it. These are the last few. because I only got one point tonight. Anyway, Joshua chapter 3, verse 9 through 13. Man, this one involves a commitment. Here's I'm gonna say this. Matter of fact, let me just go through this message to the Israelites. Watch this. Reminded them that getting across the Jordan. Make sure that you get this. This reminded them that getting across the Jordan did not rest on their shoulders. Are y'all listening to me? For them to get across the Jordan, that did not rest on their shoulders. God did not leave it up to them to get themselves across the Jordan. But this rested on God. Y'all feel me? This rested on God. This was not the children of Israel's responsibility to get all across the Jordan. This was God's responsibility to get them across. So what am I saying to you? What am I telling you now? It was God's plan the whole time to get them over. It was his problem. It was not the children. Here's what it is. We want to take our problems on ourselves and not understand that God is telling us, this is mine. I know where I want you to be. I know where I'm trying to take you. I know whose responsibility it is for me to get you over this Jordan. I know you cannot do it. You're too weak. You don't have no power. You have no strength to do this. So God is trying to tell you, look, this ain't your responsibility. If you would let God do his job, because he does it very well, if we would let him do his job, he will take us where we need to go. See, it was God's plan to get them over in the first place. It's in these verses, he makes them a promise. Watch this. He tells them that I'm not only just going to get you through it, but I'm going to bring you through in style. I'm going to bring you through in fashion. How does I know? Because he told Joshua, he said, look, I'm finna make you great, man. He said, I'm finna make you the man in Israel. So God here commits himself. Watch this. God commits himself to bring his people across the Jordan. All that was required for them to do, y'all. Can anybody tell me what one thing was required for them to do? The only thing was required for them to do was what? You can put up.
Be obedient.
Huh?
Just to follow God. Be obedient.
Be obedient. What a trust. Trust. That's all it was. I don't know if you guys remember the illustration that I did with Tisa. Or was it Tisa? Yeah. With the blindfold. And the thing is, you don't know where you're going. You don't know how you're going to get there. But guess what you got to do? You got to trust the voice of God. You got to trust what you see him doing. And you got to move on his behalf. Now, I want to remind you that things have not changed with God one bit. I'm done. I'm closing. I want to leave you with this. If God could be trusted in those days to keep his promises, can he still be trusted today? And I want you to be careful when you answer that question, because I want to know, do you really trust him with your whole life? Not part of you, not bits and pieces of you, not just certain sections of you. Do you trust him with your whole life? And I believe that if God could be trusted over 2,000 years ago, he's the same God. He said he neither change. He's going to be the same God forever. He can be trusted. The thing now is, will we trust him to take us where he wants us to be? will we trust it? Often, we're unable to get past obstacles in our lives because we live a life that exhibits a deep lack of faith in the promises of God. How do I know that? Watch this. Because of the worry and the doubt that marks the lives of the people of God. We worry too much, man. We sit on the fence and we listen. Make sure you understand me. I have to get to a place, in life to where I understand what worry and anxiety would do to a person. Worry and anxiety will cause you to go to your grave very early. So we have to get to a place to where we trust God and stop worrying about things and say, look, God, I'm putting it in your hands. It's in your hands. And I had to come to grips with this a long time ago.